And we're live on video. It's TechnoBabble episode, I think, what the heck is it, number 29. We skipped one and we've kind of moved around and we had... Actually, I think the last time we had one, it was you and Chris, wasn't it?
Yeah,
a month ago, I think.
Was it really that long?
I know, because I was moving at the employer that I can now say that I was formerly with, Fenimore Greg PC.
Yeah,
we're not sponsored by them, but... Anyways, as you can see at the title of the screen, and you can actually see us for the first time here on video, I'm Joe DeGanzik.
I'm Bradley McComb.
And this is our technology show that we generally try to do every 2 weeks, when we get around to it seems. Talking about headlines and talking about tech trends, talking about kind of little things and electric cars occasionally and, you know, things like that. And we'll also be kind of giving you some info on the whole system of how we're doing video here at the network. So, Brad,
yes,
this
Joe.
is a rhetorical question because I see you fairly often now.
I know, yeah, just a lot more than it used to be.
I know.
That's for sure.
Exactly. But to the listeners, how have you been?
Busy. Like super stressed and busy, but in a good way, I guess. So, yeah. How about you?
I have been also busy. It has been it has been just kind of a crazy time in my life. You can listen to most of my life's ramblings on the Joe and Babe Show, which is the one that precedes this show. Changing careers, I'm out of the IT world. I'm now more in the digital media, digital marketing world.
Right.
We'll be working for the Barrett Honors College at ASU. I used to work for Fenimore Craig, a nice law firm. They
were always good to you.
They were always good. Yes, they were always good.
They were very sad to see you go. That's
they
for sure.
They were. And it was a tough decision, but I fell into the IT thing many years ago, and it was kind of not something that I wanted to do full time. Mm-hmm. And now I get to do something else, which is more media, more
creative juices.
Which is totally cool. And I think it'll help open my mind up and do more cool creative stuff here. We want to remind you, we've got a lower third for this. If I can just grab you, grab you. Yes, lower third. We want to remind you that we're brought to you by Audible, which is the great audiobook service, and that you can get a free audiobook by signing up for a free trial at audibletrial.com. You can see it right there on the screen, audibletrial.com/QTalkAmerica, and sign up for that. We'll go into a little more detail about that in the middle of the show, and help them out by signing up for their free service for a month, and they will give us some love as well.
For sure.
And the other thing to remind you, if you're in the Phoenix area, or heck, if you just want to fly in, we will not pay for your airfare ticket. Tuesday night, March 26th, is the official grand opening event here at the studios, where you can actually see what we do for real. You can actually come into the studio and look at all the cool stuff that we've got. Look at all the iPods and things like that. You can actually then hang out in Studio A, which is pointing that direction. I should take the wide shot, but anyhow, I'm like Vanna White. Here's the wide shot. Let's see. Come on. There we go. Studio A Lounge, which is currently under construction and being completed this weekend, just in time, it seems. The wonderful Clayton Mickey from the show with Clayton Mickey on Tuesday nights is taking care of some of that stuff, and his show will run during our opening party, so people could like hang out in the lounge and watch everything go on. We're going to have some food and wine and champagne, and it's going to be it's going to be a great little time. In fact, Phoenix Pride was donating the champagne and wine, and I actually went over there to pick it up, and I'm like, oh, you're donating how many cases to us? Wow, we don't even have the storage. So please come and eat, drink, and be merry, and please be responsible.
Drink responsibly.
Yes, exactly. We'll have Brandy Sokolowski's significant other is Tambra Williams from the Phoenix Police. So we'll have the Phoenix Police here too.
Oh yes, representing
everything.
We'll be doing a checkpoint as you leave.
Yes, exactly. Tambra will be all over that. She doesn't even know that yet. But anyways,
you volunteered her.
Yeah, I just did. We love you, Tambra. Even though you guys are moving, so we're really sad. Actually, Brandy is stepping down as the Phoenix Pride director, and they're searching for a new one. So we want to remind you also, we're kind of changing some of the format a little bit of some of our shows that don't get a lot of phone calls, because it seems that no one calls each other these days. So
I know I don't.
this show primarily seems to interact via chat, so we're going to discontinue the live phone calls, but we always have the availability of doing voicemails, so you can call us anytime at 888-791-9294, or email us at technobabble@qtalkamerica.com, or get us on any of those social media services. And of course, now starting today, or probably tomorrow, you'll be able to watch these episodes on YouTube, because we are recording them and we put them up. You'll notice that when you're on Ustream, you're seeing ads, and they're going to pause. Actually, they don't pause it. They don't like DVR the live stream. They actually interrupt the live stream, so then you miss 30 seconds of the show.
Yeah.
And then it just continues on YouTube. If the ads come in, either they're lower thirds or it starts as a pre-roll ad, and then you watch the rest of the thing.
Right.
But please use the people that we have as our sponsors, and please, if the ads interest you on YouTube and other sites and so forth, please click on them, because that is how we help to pay for all of this. So it is very helpful. So let's go back to our main shot. So why don't we talk a little bit, before we get into the tech news like we always do, why don't we talk a little bit about now the fact that we have kind of revealed all of this technology, because we're not hiding behind it. As you can literally see, between Brad and I is the sort of mega Apple little desk that is crowded with stuff nowadays. So let's see. We have a lot of stuff on the desk. We've never pointed this out to you before. And so it's time. So without going into explanation for about a half an hour, we'll shorten it quite a lot. Brad, you've seen this evolve over the years. You remember that I used to do this in a little table.
A little table.
In a little apartment. Originally, it was like a studio apartment.
It was literally a studio, yes.
It was literally a studio, and then I went to the one bedroom, which I'm still in now. And back in the day, I think I just had some tie clip mics, and I literally had my old mixer board from like 18 years ago, and then it was like plugged into a laptop. Then, I gotten into the Mac world, and I got we got these mics. And I got the mixer board, which we currently have. This is due to be replaced probably in about 2 months' time, because we're out of inputs.
Jeez.
But the basic setup, for a long time was just to be able to mix everything live and not do a lot of editing, because I used to have to edit everything later, and that was just a pain to lay in all the music. Even with templates, it just gets to be an awful pain to go through it all. And I want to chop this word out and stuff. So we decided lately, just make the podcast as good as you can, and don't edit it unless you really have to take some awful thing out of it. And so
far really hasn't been an issue.
Definitely on this show. The other shows are kind of uncensored, so we just leave everything in anyways.
Yeah, you get the expletive tag.
You definitely get that. Let me take the lower third off of here. But so when we've moved to different studios and we've evolved in terms of trying to train people, because the network started growing, almost 2 years ago when I started adding all these shows.
Can you believe it?
This show and the show with your other half, Jake and Dave, were some of the first shows to launch, and the Food and Wine show, and then we had the Dr. Dina, and it just kept going and going and going. The problem was I was the one stuck engineering all the shows, because we had we had the tablet, and we had like a recorder, and we had I think it was that I had to bring the tablet every time, and I had to bring like the iPod for the music. It was all like half the stuff was mine. It went every week. There was no way we could have someone come in and do it. So slowly I had figured out that it was easier in some ways and simpler to run like the music beds off of an iPod instead of trying to do everything on a MacBook. And I had some weird audio
You're doing stuff
issues
like in GarageBand and all that stuff. Yeah,
it was kind of there were some technical issues with the MacBook. Somehow the audio, like when we were doing a Skype call, you would hear like this high-pitched whine, and eventually I said, I've never heard any kind of high-pitched whine or any kind of noise on my iPhone. And that's when I did an experiment.
Yep.
And I said, wow, this is crystal clear. I mean, Skype isn't perfect, but the audio clarity, there wasn't any like background hissing or anything strange. So I just said, that sounds great. So is there a way to hook up an iPhone that you can get sound in and out of it? Because normally iPods have become famous, of course, for what? Music, listening to music.
Sound coming out.
Not necessarily recording from an external microphone in.
Right.
And so what we evolved into is we started using these connectors that you really can't see them, but they're on the iPods here. These two iPods are 4th generation. We have 3 of them. We're actually going to go down to 2 of them. The middle one here is our broadcast, which is actually broadcasting right now through Shoutcast. We're using an app called iCast Pro, which the author nicely modified for us so we could actually send our own custom title metadata through to trigger our chat room. And anyways, we have these special connectors that allow us to actually put in a line level signal, and it brings the line level signal down so that it makes the iPod think that it's just like a standard headset. And so it brings that audio in. And it's not, some people would be like, musicians would say, well, that's nice, but it's not really high quality. For us, when we bring this down to 64K MP3 for a broadcast
over the
web, you're not going to notice much of a difference.
Yeah.
It's not
Bang & Olufsen, coming out your speakers and stuff.
It's not a concert. It's not any of that. So really, we're pretty happy with the results of it. And it's a $30 cable, and it has a special circuitry in it, and it's got 1/4-inch connectors, and we can bring the audio in, and then of course get the audio out, which we don't need to do there. We actually have it anyways because the other connector we were using before died. But on our Skype one, which we use for our phone calls during the shows, we do use the in and out of that connector, and it gets us over to, we have a setup. You can't even see it on this screen because there isn't a camera that would pick this up. On this iPad here, we have the web version of Call-In Studio, which is our virtual switchboard. And it's a cool service for podcasters that I think was built by a podcaster that is literally, you load it by the minute, however many you need, and you can get a local number or a 888 number, and we call their system over Skype, and that gets us the audio, and then this is the control surface for it, and we see the caller ID. It has an auto screening. It literally says, "Welcome to Q Talk America. What would you like to talk about today?" And you talk about whatever, you say whatever, and you hit like pound. Now, when it tries to auto-translate, there are some really funny ones that's like, what? You want to talk about what? It's sort of like Google, like it's sort of like Siri Google, and like Google Now. I think is that Google Now is their version of Siri, right?
Oh my gosh!
I think
you're putting me on this. I have no idea.
Where's the lower third? Stump Brad, right?
I know. Is it Google Now?
I think it might be. I don't think it's not Google Translate. That's their other service.
No, but I know like when you have Google Voice and it translates your voicemails, sometimes when I'm reading those, I'm like,
yeah, I've seen some of those and I'm like, wait, what did they say? Like, they did not say that. So,
I mean, Google Now, it's kind of like that search thing where you tell it what you're looking for.
Right.
And then it'll,
I wonder if that's
bring back the results.
Okay.
So
it's kind of like their version of like a Siri kind of thing.
Yeah, it's, according to Wikipedia, it's an extension of Android's native Google search application.
All right. So getting back to some of this stuff. So basically we've got that. We've got an iPod that we've had that's only just literally music out. We actually use iTunes Match. So all of the stuff that our producers need, we load up through our one of our Macs off-site and push it to all the into the playlists, and then it goes ahead and we keep a separate iTunes library for that alone, and on a separate iTunes account. And then anytime we change it, it'll go ahead and prompt us, and we can download them here.
Right.
And iTunes Match, we've been using it for I think 9 months now or so.
Mm-hmm.
It's been pretty reliable.
Yeah.
It's been obviously we don't use anything copyrighted, so it's not going to go find it and try to match it up.
Right.
It always uploads it.
Pushes what you've synced to the library.
Yeah. But the what we've found is that so many people this is like the system side of the world, and all of this is like the media side of the world.
Yeah.
So what's happened is now that everyone has been using, this thing which has like the sound effects and all this kind of fun stuff. Yay, blah, blah, ding, ding, ding. So we have this kind of for the fun kind of like radio sound effects, kind of old fashioned kind of thing. But we also have this other app on the iPad called Sound Slate, which allows us to build separate slates, separate pages of all these sounders. And we found that, why don't we just load all of the music beds and everything on this and use this entirely and get rid of that, because it's far easier. It's a bigger screen. You can easier to see it. And so we just keep evolving. So now we're going to go down to 2 iPods and then the 3 iPads. Now, people would wonder, why do you need an iPad over here that is for recording purposes? And this used to be flown, but we were trying to get a device, an interface that would actually allow us to record and power the iPad at the same time. We've had tremendous difficulty finding it, but this device that it's sitting on is called the Griffin Studio Connect. It's about $99, and it is the only device, because I have been through 6 of these devices. All of the other ones have flopped. This is the only device that allows you to have power and audio in and out to an iPad simultaneously. And it works awesome. I don't know if you can use it with a lightning adapter. I don't know if you can use it with an iPad 4th generation. But this is an iPad 2. We bought all of these during sort of the fire sale when the iPad mini was announced. I was talking to everyone. I said, I'm going to wait. And we got all these. I think we got 3 of these, but I think for like $850.
Total for the 3 of them.
For the 3 of them.
Yes.
They're all iPad 2s. They're 16 gig Wi-Fi only. And we've got 2 black and 1 white. I don't really even know why I decided to get one of them white, but it was kind of like it was going to be against the dark table, so I thought it would be different. But whatever. I probably should have got all 3 black. But anyways, this one's different. So we use this to do our recording. Right now we're recording everything in mono. Eventually we want to record it in stereo so we can put all the vocals on one side, put all the music stuff on the other when we create like best ofs. But we're waiting for an upgrade from our third-party provider, which is our post-processing software. So anyways, record everything, and then we have this is called Pocket WavePad, which is a cute little recorder app. It really works pretty well for whether you're doing voice stuff or you might be recording in a podcast setup like this.
Right.
And then it's nicely designed so that you can literally have a profile set up, and as soon as you're done recording, boom, you click it, and it'll either email it or FTP it to the server of your choice, which is what we do. And then, without going into too much detail about it, I was listening to one of our favorite technology networks, Twit. Thank you guys so much for having these guys on one of your shows, which I think was Floss Weekly. They're like open source show. And it was one of those times where I just happened to tune into them, and I just was tuning in live. I wasn't going to download.
I tune into the live stream of them a lot, like when I'm cooking or when I'm like just like putzing around the house.
Yeah.
I just kind of like tune in the live and I put it on the big screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had this guy who was talking about audio engineering stuff and post-processing and podcasting, and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. Maybe I'll keep listening or watching. And it was some guy from Austria who had developed this cloud-based, to make it simple, cloud-based audio post-processing tool for podcasters and broadcasters and whatnot. It is actually extremely powerful, and it is the tool that has enabled us to now make all of our independent show producers on our network basically independent, but they're all under our flag. They all use the studio resources.
Right. Yeah.
Because from here, all we do is go to a website. It's called Auphonic, AUPH. I should put it up on the screen. Yeah. I'm lazy. AUPHONIC.com. And you can set up a lot of presets for if you have multiple shows, and those include all of your base title, your podcast artwork, what filtering and audio normalization that you want it to do, all of that good stuff. And then you literally tell it the title, the track number, the output file name, and how you want it to get the file, whether you're just uploading it through like a web form, or for us, it actually pulls it from our server externally, processes the whole thing, and then takes it and then pushes it out to the servers that we actually have preset. The whole process for an hour-long podcast takes literally 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's
And
definitely cut your time.
It's
this
cut my
new
time,
system.
and I've trained everyone else so that
Yeah.
I'm not processing all the other shows anymore. Because I was
Exactly.
having to post-process all of them
Every
because
single one.
no one else has audio software. Normally, they don't understand Audacity.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to build this tool myself if I hadn't found it. So, thank you, Twit. Thank you, Floss Weekly, for having it on at that particular moment when I decided to tune in.
Isn't that funny how that works?
I've made a bunch of suggestions to them, some of which they've already implemented, and to Alphonic. And the other cool thing that they do is they also post-process video. So eventually what we're going to use, I think, for them is we're going to have them go ahead and grab the video file, and they can actually take that, post-process the audio within the video, push it to YouTube automatically, create an MP3 automatically, and push that out to our servers. So it even creates even less steps. So we're going to do that.
and the
But
workflow is just so automated.
it is automated. And they have an app. They actually have an app that actually you can start the workflow before you start recording. And then as soon as you're done recording, you hit go, it uploads, and it initiates that whole
Right.
post-process. Boom.
Yeah. Kind of like an automator. Yeah.
It really is. And anyone who does a lot of podcasts, I highly recommend it. It is 100% free right now because they got a grant from the Austrian government.
Nice.
And eventually what they're going to do is like a freemium model. Like it'll
Right.
be free
Yep.
for a few features. And if you want the whole kit and
The
caboodle,
whole package. Yep.
and trust me, we'll pay for it because it is worth it. We produce 6 podcasts a week out of this studio, plus this one, which is bi-weekly, All That Glitters and Cheers, which are monthly, and then we're going to be doing Compete Radio in April, and it's that Auphonic is fantastic. So AUPHONIC.com. We don't make anything on it; they're not sponsor of the show, but I highly recommend it.
Right.
And it's
Plug the good tools.
you might think that it's like, oh, it's audio, it's web based, all this. No, it is phenomenal. Post-processing, it really filters out stuff that you couldn't filter out with Audacity or couldn't figure it out. It's automatic,
Nice.
and it will, if you're doing stereo, it'll down convert to mono, it'll up convert the volume, so it's good for like mobile listeners on their headphones.
Yeah.
They've thought of all of this stuff,
The whole thing.
They've actually been around for about a year and a half, so
Right.
very, very impressive. So our workflow here, this whole side, because we like to call this Post PC Studios, the audio workflow is actually still on the iOS platform plus our cloud processing. And then we do have the video side, but the video side is video only. We're pulling the audio source off the board to drive it. But we can still say that for the recording studio side, that it is still the Post PC. And so what was I going to say? The launch party, which is on Tuesday, is the launch also of our business as having this studio as an actual recording studio for other podcasters who don't want to, or either straight or they don't want to be under Q Talk America, singer-songwriters who can sing to a backtrack, corporate podcasters, voice talent.
I mean, anyone who needs a nice audio studio.
Yeah. And if you think, well, they're just doing this little thing, we've invested a significant amount obviously in just having the studio and all the equipment. And as you can see, we do have behind these panels is studio quality sound deadening foam, and even the wall and the window out to Studio A is completely sound insulated. So we've made it, this is what I would call sound recording, like a recording studio light, because we're really aiming it at vocal. If you need to record violins and pin drops, remember those old Sprint commercials?
Sprint, yeah.
You could hear the pin drop on the Sprint FON network, the fiber optic network.
So clear.
I mean, it is pretty quiet in here. We're actually in from the plaza. We're in from the outside. We don't hear cars going by. We're really more insulated in this building, and we're downstairs. We've had people jump up and down upstairs, and there's been no issue. So it is pretty good. We think we can do a really good thing here, and this is the experiment. And if it works here, we would like to eventually do this in other locations and other cities. It's going to be open by appointment only starting. It is going to be priced at $49 an hour for studio time with eventual packages with discounts. And then we're going to have some upsell services for podcasters and hosting and audio processing and other kind of services that will go along with all of that. But we think we've got something really special. And as you can see some, if I take the lower third off, I always forget that. Some of this we'll talk about Wirecast in a second, but there's the other view of the board, as you can see there. And there's the mixer board, which is actually it's a Behringer X1204 USB. We're going to upgrade to one that is, I think, like the 1836, and it's got like 6 more channels and more buses and things. Because we have to send a separate audio mix to Skype so that they don't hear themselves. So we've got the separate audio buses for that.
Yeah.
And then we've got a separate audio outputs for all the other broadcast things, and we're going to have. For those of you wondering how you will experience the show on Tuesday, being in Studio A, the Studio A lounge, we actually have speakers set up over there, and we have already pre-wired it so that people will be able to hear what's going on, and it's going to be that'll be pretty cool. So then what you're seeing, and this is actually what you're seeing, like, ooh, now you see it, now you don't. This is, we have a 15-inch retail point-of-sale touch panel that is running Windows 7. Well, actually, the panel isn't, but the PC, part of the non-post PC world, which is in the back that you can't see. We've got a nice Core i7 3.5 gigahertz machine, quad core. And this is running Wirecast, and Wirecast was something that was introduced to me by a coworker at Fenimore, and I love Wirecast.
Yeah.
I was trying to do this kind of stuff 20 years ago. And what I would do, I had this card that I could bring. All I could do, and it was like a PC. It was like one of these big, like, remember the old like ISA cards or whatever those things were? And I could bring in video, and I could overlay graphics on it, and then I could put it out, but I couldn't like switch between video sources. So what I would do to make a special effects is I would make my tape, and I would make the tape of all of like the cuts of what I was going to run. Like I would like, okay, if I was making like a fake news thing, I would do all of the camera cuts on the tape and have that done.
Okay. And
the software would let me schedule like, okay, here's the opening graphic for 4 seconds and the next one for whatever. And I would basically have everything hooked up, hit play on the VCR and play on the computer.
Oh my gosh.
And I would record out to another VCR.
Jeez.
And then it would merge it and it would look good, but again, it was like tape and VCR quality.
Yeah.
But it was so difficult to do what we now can do just with like it's child's play. Just click.
Tap of your finger.
So the reason why we did a touch screen was we just didn't want to interfere with the studio and how we had everything.
Well, I mean, everything
set up.
else is touch, so
It's
it just made
touch,
sense. I mean,
it's
why bring a
tucked
mouse
away.
and keyboard into all of it?
And we do have the mouse and keyboard for when we're doing stuff.
Right.
When we've got to like enter text and things like that, because we can modify these shots on the fly. But I can basically go here and tap on my camera panel and then hit go. And then here's this shot. We actually have, it looks like we have more cameras than we actually do. We only have 3 cameras, but we can create these virtual shots. If I take Brad and I can put a lower third on him and then take him, it will zoom in because it's only one camera and we're making multiple shots with the separate cameras. The wide shot cameras is dedicated for that. Yeah. And then I can jump over to me and change the lower third automatically, and then it just pans over to me. So this is a great solution. It's a $500 piece of software. Let me go back to our dual shot. There we go. It's a great piece of software if you want to do video stuff and you don't want to edit it later. You need to do it live. It has everything built in. Like for Ustream, we set up the Ustream account, and I put in the username and password into this.
Yeah, the credentials right into the software, and that's it.
And
it just automatically goes. Yep.
And we're simultaneously recording to disk. It has all these prefix or profiles set up, so it's recording to a format that YouTube understands. And what we do is we have Log Me In set up on this. So I come in at the end of the night and push all the videos to YouTube when we're all done.
Yep.
And I wait for our show producers. Of this one, it's me. But our other producers will go in and they do their audio side and they post to our website through WordPress. And then once they've done that, I take their info, toss it into the existing video on YouTube and hit publish, and we're done. And eventually that process is going to be taken over by an engineer as well, so I don't have to do it. But I'm a stickler for quality and consistency, so I like to make sure that everything's done. So we push these out to YouTube, and we've got a content membership, a partnership with them to have the ads on there and to make some revenue off of that. So
it makes perfect sense.
The Wirecast, also you can preload videos like our overlay. We've got 5 different layers so that what I just threw onto the screen is on top of everything else. And then if I do something that say has a transparent background and our little corner Q Talk, then there it is, and we go back to that shot. And then you can load up, animations and things. So this was our little opening animation that we had, and it's like, oh, our little cute little thing. We had this from Digital Juice in my old library. And then
you've got quite the extensive library of.
It's really, I love that stuff, and since we're not using HD, it still kind of works pretty well for us.
Yeah.
And then this is what we're going to end all of our shows with, so that people remember that they should go subscribe, and they get into all the different areas, iTunes and YouTube and Q Talk America. But it really makes it easy that I can sit here, the show producer and the host can sit here and just run the whole thing.
Oh yeah,
it gets to be a little bit much if you have a complicated show like Clayton. Somehow he gets through his and he's half drunk, but
so easy. You can do it when you're drunk.
You can do it. Yeah, that sounds like a Geico commercial.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna get sued. Anyway, so
we just wanted, since their car insurance.
Right, yeah, car insurance. Yeah, exactly. You should don't drink and drive, kids. You heard it here first. Anyways, let's speaking of lower thirds and things. So let's you have you've used Audible before, right?
Yeah, I still do.
Still do. What's like the most recent thing that you listened to on Audible? I'm gonna sign up for it this week. I keep talking about Audible and I don't have a membership yet.
It's funny. I'm almost done with the Tina Fey book that I was talking about last time.
Oh yeah.
It's just with school I have to read so much other stuff that I just don't have a lot of time. But now that my commute's a little bit longer, I've gotten through a vast majority of it. But that's pretty much what I'm on right now. But a coworker of mine recommended a book by the author who writes for GQ, and it's called How to Be a Man. And it just goes over, like, in today's modern society, like almost like men's etiquette. So I'm probably going to do that one, put it on my next download list.
That does sound interesting, actually. Men's etiquette. All kinds of things that you could find. So, Brad, how can people get a free audio book?
By visiting the special website. Which is, let me grab it up here. It's audibletrial.com/QTalkAmerica. So audibletrial.com/QTalkAmerica. And then you get a free audiobook. So basically, like, what they do is you create an account and they'll load like a credit. And most books on their system are 1 credit. Some of the super long books,
really long ones,
are more than 1 credit, like 1.5, 2 credits. But vast majority of their books are just 1 credit. So when you visit audibletrial.com/QTalkAmerica, sign up for your free membership. And the cool thing is you get, it's your book for life.
They don't disable your book if you cancel the membership.
Because you go either the membership plan or you do the one-offs, and then they load into your library, and that is like your library.
And
for
the
life.
One-offs are actually, from what I understand, are not that expensive.
No, they're
really.
not. They're not that bad. They're comparable to a lot of the other digital download stuff. But if you're a heavy user, it just makes more sense to do the subscription because it is a good discount from the one-offs. Yeah. So yeah,
go out and qtalkamerica.com. No.
Audibletrial.com.
I can't. I don't even know what the URL is. audibletrial.com/QTalkAmerica. I think finally this week I'm actually going to sign up for it because I'm going to have some time to start actually reading, and I'm going to be having a longer commute out to Tempe on the train.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's going to
it'll come in so handy.
I actually want to listen to the because I read it, when it came out, of course. But I think I'm going to get the Steve Jobs book just to kind of get a different.
Oh yeah, I have that one too.
Wonder who voiced that one.
Oh gosh, I could probably pull up my.
Well,
yeah,
I'll get it, and
it's
I'll
on
tell
my
everybody.
library. Yeah, I just because once I've read it to save space on here, I sort of take it off.
Clear
of here.
it.
Yeah, so
Makes sense.
Or listen to it, I guess.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's different than reading, but at the same time, you're still using your imagination, and I just think it's. If you're multitasker, like we have to be in this day and age.
Oh yeah. So speaking of apps and things and so forth, so there's an app for that, and I'm going to hold this up even though you're not going to be able to really see it. This is the app for my new car that I've been talking about for a few months.
Excuse me, Joe's newest acquisition.
Jake apparently is now the owner of my new car.
Yeah.
Probably wants to be. Actually, no, he wants
I want one.
You want one. He wants, I think he's going to be trying to get the
Focus Electric.
Focus Electric.
Yeah. I just want an electric car. I don't care what it is.
What it is, yeah.
I really, really, really like your Leaf, though.
The Leaf is really great, and it is. I wound up going for the higher end model because it just is. They only make these things in certain combinations, and the Leaf, they're making less of the Leaf than all the other cars, anyways. So it is the top of the line model. It is red, and it's got this black leather.
But it's not just like red. It's this
It
really
is this
cool,
beautiful red.
Like
It's not just a
What do they call it?
They call it cayenne.
Cayenne. Yes.
It really is a great color.
Yeah, it's not like that obnoxious red sports car
Yeah, red
red
sports kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful red.
I mean, no offense if anyone has one.
Well,
I just like his red.
It is a beautiful red color. It's just a beautiful car. So the app allows you to get the status of the car and how far it can currently drive in terms of range. You can remotely turn on the AC if you're plugged in, which really helps because you pull the power from the grid. And obviously you can find out where charging stations are. So it's an app-enabled car. It's a whole different mindset of thinking a little bit more of where you're going to go next and how you can really get there by using energy efficiently, or you're going to have to recharge along the way or recharge the night before. I'm getting into the game of basically charging like every other night, unless I might, like the weekends, like I don't always plan my weekends. So after here, I'm going to go home, and I've used up some miles this morning, so I think I may just go put it back on the charger in case I go do something tonight that I don't know of yet.
Yeah.
And that's the only potential thing with electric cars is if you don't know what you're going to be doing next, better off to just go ahead and plug it in.
Yeah.
And the car tells you when it's done. I live in an apartment complex, which was the first apartment complex in the city to get electric charging stations because I started the conversation to get them to do that.
Yeah.
But if you have a home, you could just get a charging station installed yourself, and then you're on cheaper electricity because it's your own. I'm on commercial, which is about $1 an hour. Leaf is about 3.5 hours to 4 for a full charge. Normally you're topping off, so I haven't paid more than $2 for a charge thus far. I really maybe it was 3, but I think it was 2. And they don't, it's as soon as it clicks over past an hour, it's like, okay, it's $2, whatever. But and they basically accumulate the charges and bill you at the end of the month.
Right. And then so when you get home in the afternoons or evenings, you plug it in, and then your car will send you a text or an app alert, right? That it's finished.
Yes.
Yep. And then so you just go downstairs and unplug it.
That's right.
And then you're off the grid. So
that's right.
Yeah. That's just so cool.
Your
car's like, hello, I'm down here, I'm done.
It is an amazing experience. And it's just the beginning of these sort of connected vehicles and what you can do with them. I personally think eventually the vehicle has a data plan with it that you can really is only for the vehicle. You can't tap into it, although I'm sure there's hackers that are trying to do that. Definitely, I don't think it's 4G or LTE, but I think eventually either that's going to happen and your car could be your hotspot, or your car could tap into your existing cell device, your phone,
Yeah.
And that could be its data connection. So maybe there's...
I mean, especially like, it's just almost like it would be better that way, just because then you're not paying for 2 data connections.
Yeah.
I mean, the car comes with, 3 years at first? Right. But then eventually...
And no one has told me, maybe because no one's actually had a Leaf long enough, because they only came out
in
2010,
right?
but they didn't start delivering until 2011. No one has had one long enough to go past that 3-year free service. I mean, we don't know what that service costs, actually.
Yeah. Oh, it's not even been... There's no
detail. Well, I'm sure I could find out, but there's no pricing to say, well, this is what it's going to be.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's a contract that you have to sign up for a year, or if it's a month to month.
Yeah, that'd be a tough one, especially for a car, because you're like, well, I could sell it at any moment.
That's
I don't want to be...
You don't. And
I
maybe
can only sell my car in 3 months.
Yeah,
my contract's
then
up.
I have a termination fee on my car. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it makes sense because you're leasing it. So you're leasing it for 3 years and a little more than 3 years. But the contract on the data plan is 3 years.
That's
so.
right. That's right.
So
it's an evolving... it's an evolving technology. It's an evolving world.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is like
connected cars.
Just the beginning. It's so exciting just to be like. It is just. I went with Joe to get it. It was a Friday.
Right.
It was a week ago Friday. Yeah, a week ago yesterday, and it was funny because we pulled up to the dealer and it was like right out front, like on display for everyone.
And the car salesman, who will remain nameless to protect the innocent, he's like, I kind of put it out there as bait.
He's like, one of you must be Joe. He's like, because we pulled into the parking lot and we pulled like right next to it and we were like circling it, and the guy comes running out and he's like, oh, someone must be Joe here.
and again, he will remain nameless, and the dealer will remain nameless because he was really cute.
Oh my gosh. It was so funny because like heading up there, Joe was a little bit upset with like their communication
and some things
back and forth. But the minute we got there, that all went out the window.
Went away. I'm like,
Joe's like, oh, hello.
Hello. He was really adorable. But
oh, too funny.
Did you get any gay vibes from him at all? It was really seemed, I mean, I tend to just be like,
I don't know.
Either he's in the closet or he's just a straight guy, which, he was polite. You know what I mean? He's got that
very
sort of
polite,
southern,
very well spoken,
really
nice guy. He knew his stuff, even though he was so young.
I think he was like 20 or 21.
He was 20.
Yeah. He's their Leaf specialist.
Yeah.
And but I was very impressed with his knowledge.
Yeah, he said that, he was super into cars, so he thought, hey, now that I'm old enough, why not,
need a job.
Yeah, so you can tell that he's really into what he's doing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's cool that he can be, there helping people get electric vehicles into their garages. Yeah.
I'll have to admit, I wonder if, they called me, their customer service called me already to just, say, hey, how do we do and all that stuff. And I wonder if he's going to call me again, but I still have his number. I'll just call him and be like, so now that I can ask you this question.
Well, when you go get your iPad from him, right?
That's right. I got a free, sort of a free iPad with the deal. That was a
mini.
A mini, yes. So I will have an iPad again. I won't be running these show notes off the phone. Let's see. Some of these stories are a little old, but let's just talk about the stuff that really... Okay, so Facebook is changing things again. This is still news because they talked about this about 2 weeks ago, that there's going to be additional changes coming to the timeline. Actually, not change. Well, what they're doing with the news feed is going to be, they're going to make it more... They're making it more like Google Plus, where it's going to be more clean, bigger pictures, more information about... Like if you check in a place, it'll automatically show a larger map. It'll make it more useful to really see visually what's going on when people do their posts and whatnot. So outside of that, they're making some additional feeds available, such as for your friends. If you only want to see what your friends are doing and no brands, you can do that.
Right.
If you only want to see what the brands are doing and no friends, you can do that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Google circles. It's like you only want to see this stuff right now. You want to see it all. You want to see like family.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I really like that concept of the Google circles, and I wish, because I wish everyone would be on Google Plus, just because I I just
It
like
is
that
a
system
nice,
better.
clean interface. I mean,
But
it really.
it's just no one's over there, so it's like you log in
And people are there's some people are there, but they're not active.
Right.
They just.
I mean, a lot of the tech stuff and the online personalities are there just because they make it a habit of their job to be there.
Right.
And those I subscribe to, and I like reading up on them. But like my friends and family, like a lot of what happens is they'll just post on Facebook and Google Plus.
Right.
But then everyone seems to reply, and the conversation carries on over on Facebook. And then I'm like, no, come over here.
I know. It just is the big elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a thing. There still is a URL that you can go to request that you be part of the early adopters and the early testers of this new timeline.
Mm-hmm.
But it's rolling out a lot slower than that Facebook graph search did in December, because I was able to sign up for that right away and get it right away.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I'm not like a big web Facebook user. I just don't even log on there anymore. It's only on my tablet or my mobile, so I don't know. I probably won't go and request this. Just, I don't know.
And I think it's more. I think
there.
it's more. The changes are all. I think the majority of the changes for timeline are, and these new feeds are going to be really for web users, because they're taking hints from mobile, because the mobile has to be so efficient for the screen real estate that they're actually making the mobiles, the web more like the mobile, which I think is kind of interesting.
I was reading or watching something last night. And they were like, "Oh, look, we've put a Facebook app on your Facebook." I was like, "It seems a little redundant." So it's like you log in and you've got like this Facebook app that like sits up in the corner on your Facebook. I was just like, "Okay, that's just weird."
Why? So remember, God, this was almost a year ago, because I think this was like last June when Google I/O happens. So a Seattle dive bar becomes the first one to ban Google Glass.
Yes.
Even though Google Glass is not technically out yet.
Hey, you got to start early, right? No, I mean, just for their whole thing on it, I guess, was, privacy concerns. It's like, and you don't want to be like streaming out your business, like if someone doesn't know you're there.
Because this is kind of like the whole sci-fi kind of thing, right? I mean, Google Glass. I mean,
there's going to be a lot of places that will probably prohibit this,
because it's technically you have. I don't think there's a red light on it that says like you're recording.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, there's no red lights on our phones when we're recording either.
No,
that's why everyone snaps all these pictures of everything, and no one knows you're doing anything. But unless you're just aiming it at somebody. But I do think that this is going to happen more often, and I wonder if it's going to actually slow and or nix the adoption of Google Glass in general. Because, I mean, I like the idea. The idea of Google Glass for the information side is great.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of, okay, you've got the information thing right there. You don't have to pick up your phone. You don't have to pick up your tablet.
Yeah, that's
it's all right there.
Very intriguing, that
you
part.
could search, you could get answers to things. But I don't know. I just, the other thing is Google Glass doesn't sort of solve the issue of, okay, Google Hangout for Google Glass.
Mm-hmm.
There's no camera that's pointing at you.
Right. So
you just need to be in front of your bathroom mirror. Hi. Right.
Yeah. Or I mean, it's cool if you. You, from the glasses point of view, would only be showing your Hangout what you're seeing. Okay. So, let's say you're in Hawaii.
It's like the other camera on FaceTime or Skype.
Yes, it's exactly. It's the it's the eyesight, not the FaceTime one.
Right.
The rear-facing one.
Yeah.
So, so that would be cool. Like, you're, grandma's back at home, mm-hmm. and you're out, looking at the volcano or something.
Yeah, and you can
show her that, right?
And then what you could do is you carry with you a pocket Polaroid printer, and you can take a picture of yourself and with it, and then you can hold up the Polaroid in front of the Google Glass camera and say, "Hey, look."
Or just a mirror on a
or
stick.
a mirror. Yeah, a mirror on the stick. Actually, I think I saw someone.
I've seen
some kind of mirror stick thing.
There's this like retractable thing that you put your camera on.
Yes, the monopod thing.
Yes, so that you can get
pretend like you're taking like
a self
time.
photo, but like it's from a further distance.
Right.
Yes.
So that's what you would do.
A selfie is what they're called.
A selfie. That's right.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to, what you could do is you could then actually take the Google Glass and put it on the stick, turn it around, and then actually aim it at yourself. And then put it back on your head.
But I mean, just think. I mean, like, probably banks are going to ban these.
I know.
I mean,
who wouldn't? I mean, clubs,
movie
theaters. Let's see.
But
where
now
would
people who wear glasses are going to get harassed every time they go into a store. Are those Google glasses?
No, because the thing is, that they're going to miniaturize everything down to. I mean, it's going to take some time because you can't miniaturize a battery into like a tiny little thing yet. But because it has like this wraparound thing on your neck, doesn't it? And that's the battery, right? It's a funky looking. I mean, what's his name? It was Sergey Brin wore it to like the Oscars or whatever the heck it was. Just to be cool about it, and I'm still, and the rest of listening to other podcasters and people talk about it, they're just not quite really sure about it either. Like, I mean,
but I don't know.
I mean, okay, would you actually wear it? I mean, if it's going to be banned everywhere, where would you could wear it at home?
Or while you're driving. Oh, it would be a really good use
for cops
or
recording them.
Well, I'm just saying, like, recording like an accident, like like to see who's at fault,
like
because a lot of people put those dash cams.
Oh yeah.
But it's like if you're wearing this already, it's like,
you're already
here's
capturing
exactly what happened in front of me, so that might be a good thing.
It would. We're gonna have to wait because it is out this year in terms of like it's like summer. I think you could buy it for like what
$1,500. Yeah,
get out your credit cards.
But
I don't think I would. Well, if I was to buy it at all, the thing's got to be $300 or less. I'm just not that interested.
Yeah.
Especially if you can't wear it many places.
Gonna get banned.
I mean.
But speaking of other things that you're wearing that's like out, but everyone's sort of.
This is probably the last story we can cover because we're out of time. The watch thing.
I know.
When was the last time that you wore a watch?
I've had watches and I wear them for like a week and then I'm like, I can't. I don't wear jewelry. I don't wear watches.
11 years.
To the date.
I know because the company I worked for back in the day, back in the early 90s or the late 90s and the early 00s.
Early ooze.
Whatever we call this era or that era. They gave some of their employees these this sounds so dated. Pager watches where I could get pager text messages on this watch, and it was this huge screen. It was like I forget what brand it was, Casio or Timex or who that guy was, but it was a pager watch. It was like a full pager thing, a one way, so that they could my boss could text me like update the website, blah blah blah. It was just a leash, but that was the last time. And when I got rid of that, I was done with them, and I didn't want to work for them ever again. It was a bad experience, and of course I had to give the watch back. And I haven't worn one since.
It's funny though because at work, like when I go into secure areas, like we have to do logs and stuff and time. So I mean, the easiest answer would be to just upgrade that to digital, of course. But the industry I work in, they're very slow to change.
But I guess
so it's like I'm always having to look at what time it is.
Right. But in those secure areas, are you allowed to take your cell phone?
No.
So then you don't have a time piece.
Right. So it's like I'm always having to remember to look at the clock before I go back there.
Right.
So that I can write on the log. So it's like maybe I should have one of these watches
because you should.
I need a watch, and hey, if it's got extra functions.
They've talked about these like the curved glass, and I've seen some. The people have made some renderings of these online, and I guess it looks cool. But again,
I don't know. It's like everyone's talking about them, and they're not even out. Yeah.
No, but now I guess Samsung is going to make them, and a couple other. Well, there's that the smartwatch. I think that was all over.
Oh yeah, what's that watch called? The
Pebble.
The Pebble
smartwatch.
Yes,
which did actually come out. Some people really love it. For me, it would be the watch would be an enabler. Okay, so you wouldn't if you got some sort of update, and apparently what people have said is Apple's notification system is built to be able to transfer and send out to other devices. So that's why people are thinking that Apple's going to do a watch, and the watch.
So it comes to like your phone or your pad first, and then you're synced to that with the watch, and then
with
it pushes
the Bluetooth
it
or
to
something,
the watch.
and would push it to the watch, because you're not going to be
Right,
as cool as
your
Dick
watch
Tracy
isn't gonna
was.
have-
It wasn't going to be like, okay, number 3, go to the car 54. That was a total mashup of several different shows. But number 3, that's Star Trek. Anyways, that would be Data or someone. But anyways, for me, it would have to be something that, okay, I'm going to get some extra little bit of information.
Yeah.
That I don't have to pull out the phone.
That is nice. I mean, because at work, I just sort of like set my phone in front of me.
Yeah. I tend to do that at the office too, and I can just be like a glance at it. Oh, that was important.
It would just have to be like a habit changer to look there instead of there.
And how much would you pay for this thing?
See, I don't know. I mean,
now, Brad, for a limited time
Rolex
only.
watches, go, for thousands of dollars. So, but I mean, as like a tech device,
Brad,
a wearable
it
tech,
has curved glass.
I don't know. As much as the Apple fanboy as I am, this one's going to have to be sold to me. But of course, they'll come out with their videos with Johnny Ive, and then it's like the magic dust.
We built this watch for you. It's the most beautiful watch
we've
ever built.
But now you must have it.
And that's what the line will be. It's the most beautiful watch we've ever built. They've never built a watch before.
It's the most fantastically futuristic watch we've ever built. Yeah.
Steve was working on this before he passed away.
It
was his last project. Even before the rumored Apple TV that we're not building.
So,
I think I think it's got to have a purpose. And some people said the iPad didn't have a purpose, but now it's hundreds of millions of them.
I use my iPad daily.
I think
it's funny though, because I really want the iPad Mini. That's my next thing, but only when it comes out with Retina.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
I can't believe it's an hour.
the show that I did at 1:00, it went like that.
Yeah.
It was like gone in an hour. So let's put on the ending music here. There we go. And we want to remind you that you can always get a hold of us at TechnoBabble at qtalkamerica.com. Of course, we had our own individual little handles on the screen, so if you want to Twitter us and follow us, because we have such exciting lives.
I know. I'm sorry, mine's just so busy with school and work.
I'm at Nido Cayman. You're at iBradley.
Yeah.
So you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow me publicly on Facebook. And otherwise, we're here every 2 weeks, usually.
Yes.
2 weeks from now is going to be Pride weekend. We won't be here. We'll be at least. Are you going to Pride this year? We have some free passes.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
just to go and see what's there. And
yeah.
But outside of that, for TechnoBabble, you can always find us on iTunes and YouTube and all the other places that you can find good podcasts and good stuff. So I'm Joe DeGanzik.
And I'm Bradley McComb.
And we'll
tech to you later.